Every day we are bombarded with messages. But the most dangerous ones are not those trying to sell us a product, but those trying to sell us an idea, a candidate, or even a war. Politics is not just a debate about laws and economics. It is a psychological battlefield. Its most powerful weapon is words, and its target is your mind. The most skilled politicians are not necessarily the most honest, but the most capable of using sophisticated mental tricks, designed to bypass your critical thinking and speak directly to your fears and desires. Welcome to Cogitoski. Grab your coffee, and let's begin our quiet, useful, and enjoyable journey together. Today, we're not talking about politics, but the psychology of politics. We will expose the 5 most dangerous mental tricks used by leaders around the world, and how you can fortify your mind against them. The first trick is the oldest and most powerful in the political playbook: creating the enemy. Our human minds are programmed to seek safety and belonging within a tribe, and the easiest way to unite your tribe is to create a common enemy for them to fear. When Donald Trump emerged on the political scene, he didn't just say, "I will make America great." He masterfully identified clear and tangible enemies. They weren't just political rivals. They were the corrupt Washington establishment, the fake news media, and the immigrants coming across the border, whom he described in harsh terms. Suddenly, the debate was no longer about the details of healthcare or economic policy. It transformed into an existential battle between the good American people and these enemies who threaten their way of life. This strategy is brilliant because it distracts from real problems and channels all anger and anxiety toward a scapegoat. And as the politician creates this enemy, he begins to use the second trick, the emotional we. Notice how Vladimir Putin constantly uses this word in his speeches about Russia. He doesn't say, "I have decided." He says, we Russians have a special historical destiny. We will not kneel to the West. This is not just a linguistic tool. It's a psychological trick called conceptual blending. Putin merges his identity with the identity of the entire nation, so his voice becomes the voice of Russia, and his goals become the dignity of every Russian citizen. This creates a deep personal loyalty that transcends policy and makes any criticism of him seem like a betrayal of the entire nation. When he says, "They want to destroy everything we have built," he involves you in his battle, making his opponents your personal opponents. This tactic is especially effective in times of crisis, when people are searching for a sense of unity. The skilled politician gives them this feeling, but ties it to his own persona, so that abandoning him becomes tantamount to abandoning the entire group. Once the enemy has been identified and the tribe has been unified, the third trick comes in to solidify the narrative: the illusory truth effect. This trick relies on a simple and frightening psychological principle. Our minds tend to believe information they are exposed to repeatedly, regardless of its accuracy. Trump mastered this art like no one else in the modern era. Slogans like "Build the wall," "Drain the swamp," and "fake news" were not just slogans. They were simple messages repeated thousands of times in every speech, tweet, and interview. At first, these phrases might seem shocking or inaccurate, but with constant repetition, they start to feel familiar, and our lazy minds confuse familiar with true. After months of hearing the election was rigged, many of his supporters no longer needed proof, because the repetition itself had created an alternate truth in their minds. This psychological phenomenon makes it very difficult to debunk a lie, because you are not arguing against a logical point, but against a deeply ingrained feeling of certainty built over months or years. But perhaps the most subtle trick is framing the debate. The politician who succeeds in framing the debate is the one who wins it before it even begins. Framing means choosing the words and angles through which an issue is presented. For example, in the UK, the campaign to leave the European Union, Brexit, was not about complex trade policies. It was brilliantly framed as a battle to take back control. This 3-word phrase was genius because who could argue against taking back control? It forced the Remain camp to look like they were defending a loss of control, a losing position from the start. Another example is the debate over gun ownership in America. One side frames it as a constitutional right to self-defense guaranteed by the Second Amendment, while the other side frames it as an issue of public safety and preventing gun violence. Both frames are valid from a certain angle, but the one that dominates the conversation determines its outcome. The politician who imposes his frame on the media and the public forces his opponent to play on his field, defending themselves within the very framework he designed to defeat them. Finally, when any solution is proposed by the opponent, the fifth trick is used to destroy it: the perfect solution fallacy. This trick is especially effective for appearing wise and realistic, while the real goal is to paralyze any attempt at change. Imagine a debate about climate change. When a politician suggests increasing investment in electric cars, their opponent might retort, "But the batteries for these cars require mining that pollutes the environment, and our electric grid can't handle them. Plus, they're still too expensive for the average citizen. This is not a perfect solution, therefore it's a bad idea." Notice how a positive step was rejected because it doesn't solve the entire problem 100% and without any flaws. This tactic puts the opponent in an impossible defensive position because there is no perfect solution to any complex problem in the real world. It exploits our desire for magical solutions, and when the politician shows that his opponent's solution isn't magical, it makes them look weak and naive, while he appears to be the responsible one who only accepts complete solutions, when in reality he is offering no solution at all. Creating the enemy, the emotional we, repetition, framing, and rejecting imperfect solutions. These are not just logical errors. They are integrated psychological strategies used by the most skilled players on the world stage. And now that you know them, you will start to see them everywhere. In leader speeches, in news headlines, and even in your daily discussions. Knowledge is the first line of defense. When you understand how these tricks work, they lose much of their power over you. You shift from being a passive recipient of the message to being a critical analyst of it. Thank you for watching. Tell me in the comments, which of these 5 tricks do you see as the most impactful in our world today? I'll see you in the next episode.